Hello and welcome on in episode number 73 of the Wise Guys podcast. I am Brian Capozziello, Justin Ray, and Romaine Davis, otherwise known as FLB, here on YouTube today to discuss the Kyrie Irving trade. It happened along with the Golden State Warriors. Is their season over? With Steph Curry missing the next couple of weeks and a little bit more around the NBA. So, Justin, when the Kyrie Irving trade request broke out, you were one of the main people I saw that was saying Dallas is the clear suitor here. They have the need, they have the assets, and at a time like this, 4 days before the trade deadline, they surely were desperate. So I want to start off with you. What are the Mavericks getting in Kyrie Irving? And did they make the right move here, taking a big-time shot on a guy in Kyrie who has now left 3 separate contenders in 7 seasons?
This is as clear as day a high risk, high reward kind of move. You bring in a guy like Kyrie, and I think we all can agree that Dallas needed that second star. They needed that guy. Christian Wood wasn't, while he's a complementary piece to what Luka does on the floor, you still needed that star.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyrie is that guy. And I understand. I remember I shot you guys a text and I had said the Mavs. And Brandon was first off to say 2 players that need the ball in their hand. It can't work. But you know what? They're professionals. They have to make it work. I'm not looking at this move as this is a bad move for Brooklyn. This is a bad move for Dallas. No, I think this is a win-win for both franchises. For the Nets, you finally get rid of this 4-year headache that you've been dealing with. And now you get to move on to hopefully greener pastures. And then Dallas, now you put yourself in the position to make a finals run. If Kyrie is all in, I'm telling you, this Dallas team will be absolutely dangerous. Once him and Luka learn how to mesh and play on the court together, guys, this is a movie that we'll be watching in Dallas. And I know each and every one of you guys are going to be tuned into that game. When do they play? Is it Tuesday?
Monday. Oh wait,
Today is Monday.
Wednesday. Oh yeah,
Kyrie's
Wednesday
debut
night.
is on Wednesday.
Night.
On
Okay,
Wednesday.
okay.
I know damn well you guys are going to be tuned in on your TVs, not looking at anything else but to watch Kyrie and Luka take the floor together.
It's not. I wouldn't be watching it for the fact that they're gonna. I'm watching it, but it's not because like I'm gonna think this is gonna be something crazy that I haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm watching to see how bad that defense is gonna be and if their offense can hold up with that bad of a defense. Because you lost your only wing defender. You lost your only wing defender. Yeah, you upgraded from Spencer Dinwiddie, and at some point you're gonna have to trade Dorian Finney-Smith to get a star because you didn't have the assets to like trade for one anyway, and you have no cap space. So either way, that was gonna have to happen. But like at the same time, you need some like either Josh Green develops really fast and he moves into that position or something. But right, what's their starting lineup? Kyrie, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr.
I would say Reggie
Wood,
Bullock.
That's even worse.
Well, they're also bringing back Maxi Kleber, who's coming off his torn hamstring. I didn't even mention the details of this trade. The Mavericks are giving up Dorian Finney-Smith, the recently extended in his age 29 season, Spencer Dinwiddie at the same age, and a first-round pick in 2029, as far out as possible if Luka does leave, and then 2 second-round picks.
2 second rounds, and then the Mavericks are getting Kyrie Irving and the forgotten piece Markieff Morris.
Hey,
Who's only in to match the roster spots.
Ever since Jokic, I never sleep on second-round picks anymore. You don't know which one of them can somehow just, for some reason, be not even that good, just be great.
Isn't it crazy though that we're talking about those picks 2029? But what would they be right now? They'd be a 6th grader we're talking about right now, right? Maybe a 7th, 8th grader. Yeah. They're trading for a 6th grader currently right now, which is pretty cool to think about.
Or they could be trading for a 10th grader if it's going to be a 4-year college starter opposed to a one and done. And also in this move, I'd like to add before we continue that the Mavericks, a team that at first a year ago was looking to not go too deep into luxury tax, they're adding a lot to their tax bill. Whereas the Nets and Joseph Tsai, they're taking off about $35 million total in tax and payroll savings. So they're saving some money with this move as well. BC, hit us with it real quick, and then we're going to go to FLB. I should have started with you, Romaine. But, Brandon, you aren't the highest in Kyrie Irving. What do you think about this move? Who won, and how big does this affect the Western Conference landscape?
Well, first off, I agree with Justin in terms it's a win-win. On the net side, it's a win because you get rid of a piece that was going to walk in the offseason no matter what. And on the other side, like I said, when me and you, John, were talking on Sunday, I said it's an addition by subtraction. You get rid of a guy because he's been such a headache and such a, honestly, availability is a big thing with me, and he's not been available that much, and reliability is a big thing too. He's not been very reliable. So
him and KD's played 79 games in 3 years together.
yeah, that's not even a full season. That's not even a full season. So in terms of the Nets, I like the move. I've hearing some rumblings that possibly Dinwiddie could also be moved instantly. But in terms of the Mavericks, in terms of the Mavericks, I mean, obviously it's a good move. I agree with the most of the points you guys were making about it. Obviously, it enhances their chances. But if we're going, we're looking at it in terms of a finished product when we think about it like that, right? If we're going to think about it as a finished product too, then we got to compare them to the other finished products in the Western Conference. I'm taking the Clippers at full strength over this team. I'm taking the Denver Nuggets at full strength over this team. Memphis, they're a dog team. You really don't want to see them. So, and Golden State in the playoffs, I give them a chance to beat anybody in a 7-game series. I really don't care. The track record speaks for itself.
Shaking your head.
But the Clippers at full strength.
On God, the Clippers are
at full strength. We've seen that already, and are limping right now against the Nets.
Also, yeah, the Clippers are full strength. What does that look like at this point? Like, let's be real here. Yes, Kawhi's looked. He's looked basically either the same since when he came back, but PG, you see the decline slowly in PG. They've been trying to find that point guard for years now. Still can't get it. Like,
but
John Wall was
I did preface my comments by saying at full strength and at full full strength. And we're looking at Dallas too. They're not at full strength either. You don't know. Kyrie can go down. He's injury prone. He's been injury prone. We seem to forget this. He's been injury prone his entire career.
I don't think we forget.
Well, I don't hear a lot of people bring it up a lot.
I don't think the Clippers is anywhere near their biggest competition.
In your terms, yes, maybe not, but in my eyes, the Clippers are the best team in the West at full strength to me. I picked them preseason picks to win the finals this year, and I believe that they're on track to do that. If they make a splash move and they get Fred VanVleet, look out, because they're even going to be even more superior, because that VanVleet from Reggie Jackson to VanVleet or John Wall to VanVleet, massive upgrade. So if then they're going to make a move. I don't know if it will be VanVleet. Maybe it's just a Mike Conley, which is a slight upgrade, but not really anything you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm not going to hella praise it. But if they get VanVleet, you best believe I'm going to be riding that wagon even harder. But back to Dallas. I did text.
But the thing with the Clippers, though, is that.
What, do you want to talk about the Clippers one?
Oh, and I was gonna say with the Clippers, I was like, I don't know what pieces they're gonna move. What do you have at this point? Is it Luke Kennard?
Well, John Wall, I'm not, we're obviously not we're not in the front office. I'm not, I would imagine, I know that Steve Ballmer is a buyer guy. He likes to sell. He'll plunge. He'll plunge. He's done it before, and we've seen him done it, and he'll probably do it again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is able to maximize a trade. But
absolutely.
But back to Dallas. I did text Justin right away when he said Mavs, and I said, yes, 2 ball dominant players, but I also said 2 guys that really don't do much off the ball. And while John did say, and I will agree with him, Luka has become a more serviceable defender, but when push comes to shove, I'm not trusting him or anything on the defensive side of the ball. And we know Kyrie, he can, when he tries really hard, he can do some work on the defensive end, but it's just the size that just overmatches him. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I think it makes them a better team, but I got to see it to believe it, man. I got to see it to believe it.
Fair point. Did lose Romaine?
I don't have to see. I don't have to see it to believe it. I already know where this is gonna go. At most it's a second round exit. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, this season is just to see how well they mesh together. I know that. Just to see how well Kyrie and Luka mesh together, and if it goes well, you give him his 3 year, not 4. Do not give him 4 years on that contract. 3 years with a team option at the end of that, if he's willing to accept. I don't know if there's any other team that's willing to throw him a bag bigger than that, other than like the Lakers if they're stupid, which they've proven they are a couple times already. But right now, that team is just not going to go anywhere outside the second round. Denver at full strength, where they've been already, eclipses almost every single team in that Western Conference. It's not even funny. the Grizzlies take themselves out of games at times. They like to make enemies and then fire teams up and then let those teams wreck them. They were this good last year. You almost lost to the playing Timberwolves. There's a reason. If I gotta clock in like playoff frauds each year, I'm not gonna lie, the Grizzlies gotta always be one of them. And at full strength, I'm taking the Pelicans over this Dallas team too. At full strength.
Wow, are you serious? With Zion's health question,
Zion,
he's saying
protection.
John,
Yeah,
he's saying at full strength. Full strength. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, he's prefacing.
But you know what the thing is? We keep on saying full strength, but that's not realistic.
Nobody is.
But it's not that realistic.
That's not realistic for Dallas.
Yeah, Justin, we're playing the hypothetical game here. That's what we're doing. We're
play the real life game, Brandon. What do you say?
What happened?
Yeah, we're playing we have to play the hypothetical. We have to play the hypothetical game because Kyrie is likely going to miss at least a full series.
What if he takes a week off of work and doesn't tell anybody?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Easy. Let's hold on for that for a moment. Okay. So the Pelicans have a lot of deficiencies. They have no rim protection, not a whole lot of shooting, and they don't have a reliable point of attack defender. Neither do the Mavericks. And I think you guys are all pretending here that the Mavericks are just done making moves. And they don't have 2 first-round picks left over to go out and try to get an OG Anunoby and submitting themselves in those sweepstakes. And I'm telling you, if the Mavericks get OG Anunoby, they are just as good as Denver in my eyes.
You know what? But they already traded their 2 best pieces. Unless Toronto wants Christian freaking Wood for OG Anunoby, they're not getting OG. They have probably one of the lower packages for him.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I'd see us getting OG before them.
Well, let's not take it that far, fam.
Because the Heat don't even have shit for that either.
And even if they can't get OG, there are going to be some, quite frankly, cost-effective options out there like Matisse Thybulle from Philadelphia. When you have an offensive dynamo this dynamic, oh, look at me here. When you have an offensive dynamo at the level of Luka Doncic, he's a top 3 or 4 player in the game. He gives you a chance. We've seen him all by himself in a playoff series go toe-to-toe against Kawhi and Paul George. Last year, he took this team to the conference finals. And it's funny, 3 of the 4 top 5 guys, or 3 of the 4 guys from that team are all gone now. And Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Dorian Finney-Smith. But offensively, there are few teams that can actually match the firepower of Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, Christian Wood, Reggie Bullock's buying up, and then one other different bigs at the 5. Dallas does have a pretty big deficiency now, and that's a lead point of attack defender. When Reggie Bullock's not making shots, they're going to have to rely exclusively on Josh Green, who's developed this year, and he's a good 3-and-D wing, but he's not quite at the level where you're going to rely on him in the playoff crucible. He barely played last year in the playoffs. I didn't remember him playing that much. And then the other thing the Mavericks really could use is a third ball handler. They have Jaden Hardy, who as a rookie has shown some scoring flash, but we all know for a kid that's 19, can't really pass too well and has a lot of work to do as, a ball mover playing within the flow of the offense. You can't really play Hardy and Kyrie together. So there are some deficiencies in Dallas, but I don't want to pretend like this team has no chance in the postseason because their closing lineup of those 4 guys I mentioned before, and then Maxi Kleber, who's come off this torn hamstring at almost record time. It's usually a season-ending injury. The guy's back in a couple of months soon. And I think with that lineup, they can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the Western Conference because they have one of the best duos and top 5 player in the game.
Why are you feeling like you're being a little too positive here? Maxi Kleber coming back from the injury past could be a bad thing, not a good thing. At the same time, you're looking at Dallas. I don't think they need a third ball handler right now. Somebody as high as good and with high usage as Luka, and now you have Kyrie. That's a tier below, but still one of the best ball handlers, one of the better playmakers, and probably one of the most pound for pound, most skill scorer probably to play this game, pound for pound at least. So. I don't think you want another ball handler on this team to take the ball out of those 2's hands even more at this point. And if you're going to have those 2 as ball handlers, then you're going to need to surround them with 3-and-D wings, and you need to surround them with at least some either a stretch big or a stable rim protector. Right now, to get all of those things to make this team a true contender, the amount of money, the amount of selling you're going to have to do, they just don't have those pieces. As of right now, if they're gonna sign Kyrie they're gonna have to make Kyrie understand and take even a little bit less of it, like a deal that Harden got this offseason, so they can spend a little bit more money to get something, or else they're just gonna be in the buyout market fishing for at least something close to this. Hell, they caught one of the teams that throw something to get Jay Crowder and watch that flunk out. Like,
what if they go out and get Miles Turner at the center spot?
with the way he's playing this season, the Pacers asking for him is probably going to be way too high from what Dallas can provide. I'm pretty sure there's been a lot more offers for Miles that's better when Dallas.
When he
The thing I'm
resigned,
looking with Dallas,
when he resigned, I feel like he was off the trade market at that point.
Actually, no. When they extended him, that gave them the opportunity to then move him even more because he's got 2 years of
that upped his trade value. Yeah, that upped his trade.
Well, no,
value.
I wasn't talking in trade value. I'm just talking in terms of what the Pacers are looking at. That I don't think that once they resigned him, what they looked at, and I could be wrong that they didn't want to trade him anymore. I could be wrong.
Good point. They want a good wing in return for him, and wings the Mavericks have to trade outside Josh Green.
I think they want to trade him, but the offers they were getting was nothing with what they wanted for the future. So they'd much rather just keep him for now, which is perfectly fine. But what I'm looking with Dallas in these trade scenarios is the fact that they don't have the pieces that other teams have to facilitate trades like this. Like, yes, they can go out and get piece if they get this piece and this piece, but what do they have to offer to even get those? They're not. If you pay Kyrie, you're not gonna have the money. You only have 2 draft picks right now. We see how the market is already, so those may not go too far. And who else? You have Jaden Hardy, who's barely played this year, so you don't know what his potential is. So his trade value is probably not too high. You don't want to trade Josh Green because that's your only competent win defender now. You trade Christian Wood. Now you lost the big man that you just had that was a good partner with Lucas. So you need to go find another one like that too. It just creates way too many problems for this team. Right now, this is going to look offensively. This is going to be a great team. But defensively, and the fact that other teams are just way more complete than this team is gonna be the thing that sets them over the edge. Luka and Jokic, in my eyes, the greatest players I've watched since like 2013 LeBron. Like the way they control the game is actually insane. So Luka can take it to a level in the playoffs where he could probably push him to a conference finals and they at least put up a fight, 6-7 game series. But that's high. That's the max I see for this team, and that's if Luka goes nuclear.
Are you sure? I think you're overlooking.
That's not that's not a pretty bad max to say. I could see this team at most getting to a Western Conference Finals in half a season of experience with Luka and Kyrie. That's not that bad of a spot to end up.
Oh no, not this season. Oh, not this season. I'm talking about next season. This season, second round at most.
I see. I can't even say the second round at most because when you look at the West, how far is Dallas from the 3 seed?
So here, this is what I want. I wanted to ask you guys a question, and I think me and Romaine.
Actually, that's a good point.
I think me and Romaine are more on the path of like we're not that high. We understand the value of the move and we see everything, but we're not as high as you guys possibly are. John's talking NBA Finals. Justin's talking better than the second round. So I want to ask you two a question. Is this team currently constructed, not considering any other moves, is this team currently constructed more likely to be bounced in the first round or be in the NBA Finals?
Oh, man. They're more likely to be bounced in the first round.
Thank you. I think that's
They're two games out of the 3rd seed right now. Since the Kings have us, but the Kings just lost 2 games straight. The Clippers have been a nice little run, so they're probably going to be in the top 5. The Suns are back at 5th.
Memphis has been
Luka's coming back, so they're probably good.
Luka better start.
Yeah, so right now I'm looking at Dallas. With the way other teams are looking, and this is gonna be a growing process for him and Kyrie for at least a good 5-10 games.
You're asking.
I'm thinking they're probably gonna stay around the.
They will not be a first round exit.
Yeah, I'm saying
that's a guarantee. I'll put money on that.
That's the thing. What if they're playing the Suns in the first round?
I don't care.
Right now,
I really don't care. I'm telling you, I think the West is so tight. I think this move for Dallas really just puts them over the top. Adding that second superstar, and also that's a superstar with NBA Finals experience, played in the biggest games in the world, played with the greatest players on the planet. If anybody's going to elevate your game, sure, Kyrie is going to help. Excuse me, my mom is talking in the background. But I think Kyrie can really elevate this team. And now, like I said before, when I opened, I had said this is a high risk, high reward because, quite frankly, Kyrie has given us 0 reason to trust that this experiment may actually work out. But
I disagree with it.
For half a season,
on that one.
For half a season, this guy wants to play for a big contract. Go out there, go show out, and I think he
right now. Their matchup, if the playoffs started today, they'd be against the Kings. They're waxing the Kings in the first round. I'm sorry, they'd wax the King. They'd wax the Kings.
That's a great matchup for the Mavericks. But I see the like I told John, I see the Kings kind of falling back to the pack. I don't think they're going to finish that high.
Then the next round, they play Denver. So if this starts today, they'd be playing Denver.
So who wins a Denver-Dallas series if the main stars are healthy?
Come on,
Denver.
John.
Denver.
Come on.
Who the hell's guarding Jokic?
I'm asking the
Who's
question.
guarding Jokic?
Come on.
You
Who's
put
guarding
you
Jokic?
put
Who's
Kleber
guarding
on Jokic, and then you take JaVale McGee off the pine for that series. You have him play as the roamer, and with the size Luka can bring closer to the rim, you really have to hope
Have you
Kleber can
seen
hold
JaVale
up
this
on
season?
Jokic.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
he's been cooked,
JaVale this
but he is literally the only semblance of.
He's
So
off
maybe
fish
you put
out of
Dwight
water.
Powell
He's
there.
worse than DeAndre Jordan.
So you probably put Dwight Powell there. You're right. JaVale this year has been not maybe the worst mid-level signing I've seen in quite some time. But Jerry, help me out here. What do you think?
No,
I would take Denver. Listen, Romaine, I've been one of the guys since we started this podcast. I'm a big happy-go-lucky. I'm positive, and I do believe that one player getting hot, just one good stretch of basketball or baseball or football can change a team. And I think Dallas has those pieces to do that. I mean, they showed it last year, just getting to the conference finals. They weren't that far away from getting to the NBA finals. So it just takes one good stretch of basketball. If they line up against Denver, yeah, the odds are against them. But it's the playoffs. Anything can happen.
The thing about Dallas and Denver for me is the fact that not only does Denver literally have every single thing that the Mavericks want, they have the wing defenders, they have the stable big, they have the point guard play, they have the deep bench, they have everything that Denver has everything that Dallas wants to become,
except the deep bench part.
At that point in that series, yeah, they're about to train Bones Highlander. I think is a big mistake too, which is, yeah. But right now, right now. If anything can happen, I'm on the side of anything can happen too. I'm on the side of I know if Luka or Kyrie goes crazy, the sky's the limit for this team. But at this moment in time right now, I can say the same thing for Denver, and Denver also has those players that have that playoff experience that, hey, any series, KCP can go 60% from 3 in 4 or 5 games and completely shoot you out of that shoot any team out of that series.
Mm-hmm.
Any single series, MPJ could just look like one of the best shooters in the planet. Of course, he can't defend a damn cone, but still, like the offense production that can come from Denver at any single point, if anybody gets, it's the fact that I have that many weapons that can get hot. It's not one or two guys that like Dallas, where it's either Kyrie or Luka. Maybe you get a game from Reggie Bullock, but really, it's just those two versus the entire team of Denver, where it's just that on any single given night, one of those guys can get hot, and you're not winning that game.
Yeah, Denver's a much better team.
Like Jokic could have a bad shooting night, which is probably how many times did that happen this year? Even if he does have a bad shooting night, the way he affects the game to the point where he's never. I don't think he's. Let me not say that because people are cooking people saying Steph can't have a bad game. He's one of the people that are least susceptible to having considered a bad game.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. Last year, the Mavericks built their foundation off of really good wing defense and then Luka Ball of 2 guards. What team is better? The Dallas team last year went to the conference finals, or the current team with no DFS, no Jalen Brunson, no Spencer Dinwiddie, but Kyrie Irving?
I'll take last year's team.
Last year's team, I'm not gonna lie, I think Luka was still a little bit hampered in the playoffs. Either way, last year's team, if they didn't run into the Warriors, let's say if Josh stays healthy, somehow the Grizzlies pull out that series. If they run into anybody else but the Warriors, I'm not gonna lie, in a full playoff series against that Celtics team, I'm still taking. I would have taken Dallas too if they made it to the NBA Finals. Hey, with the way Jason Tatum shot in that final series, I feel like it's one of those situations with like a LeBron Toronto thing where he doesn't have the mental edge yet, but at some point it's like, yeah, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic are like top players in the league, but the level is just crazy different. And the levels that Luka can get to at his best is just that much better that even in situations stacked against him, I can still see him win. Like, there's no reason why people are looking at him versus that Clipper team and thinking that he could beat them. There's literally no reason anybody should ever thought that. And yet it was actually a thing. They went up 2-0 before. So it's like one of those situations where last year you had the point guard play, you had the wing defense, you just didn't have that big in the middle. I feel like if you kept Jalen Brunson and you were able to at least sign Christian Wood or trade for Christian Wood, that would have been a much better team this year than what they have now, even with Kyrie.
I agree with you guys so heartily. I mean, especially with how much Jalen Brunson has developed. I recently made a top 10, top 15 point guard list. Jalen Brunson was right outside the top 10. And I don't think the gap between Jalen Brunson and Kyrie is that large. I'm not going to be a Kyrie hater here because in our last episode,
on their average, yeah, but Kyrie's peak is a lot bigger than Jalen Brunson's
and that's
peak.
the thing, I was talking to my grandma, my lovely grandmother, about the move, and my grandma's takeaway was basically it's like that man Kyrie is still living off that 2016 playoff run. If the Mavericks are acquiring him to go deep in the postseason, but Kyrie's teams in the last 7 years have as many playoff series victories without him as they do with him, clearly Kyrie has been a common denominator and his team's underperforming in the postseason. You look back to Boston in 2018 with Terry Rozier, they go to the conference finals.
Mhm.
Now, that team overachieved, but when Kyrie was back in 2019, he flaked out on his team after saying he would want to come back, and the second round, they literally collapsed. They lost 4 straight games to a Bucks team that was clearly not invincible, as we saw the following rounds. Then he goes to Brooklyn, his first year at the team. We already went over this. He hasn't played in the playoffs. Second year, the ankle injury. The third year, AFK. The fourth year, request a trade.
Yeah, John, basically I'll sum it up like this. Besides that 2016 playoff run, what the hell has Kyrie ever done in his career?
Lost 4 straight series in the first or second round. I was counting them in my head. Yeah,
Yep, nothing.
I'm not the type
Nothing.
of person that say he's living off 2016 because listen, between 2015 and 2019, the league was such an like precedented like talent level with they're so top heavy. Him being part of those top heavy teams, him being part of the reason why that Cleveland team, you just look at it and be like Bron and Kyrie. There's only one team in the league I'm taking over them, and that's the monster. That's Golden State. It's the reason why Kyrie's still viewed that way, and I think he still deserves to be viewed that way. But he's just, I think, a lot of situations have been in 2018 against Boston. When you listen, like I've listened to some of him on Twitch and him talking about that situation in Boston, the injury, coming back from it, not being yourself, going through, death of a family member, stuff like that. I will willing give him a pass for the Boston stuff because at the end of the day, you're human. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't trust that Brad Stevens and what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Corey
Utah
Hayward?
Jazz president. What the?
Oh, Danny
No,
Ainge.
Utah Jazz president. Yeah, Danny Ainge. I didn't trust Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge should probably handle that situation well either. So I'm guessing that that was just a huge falling out because whenever you talk to his teammates, they all love him there. Going to Brooklyn, the first year not playing in the playoffs, I'm not gonna hold it up against him because there's a lot of players that didn't want to go play in the bubble. There's a lot of players and he felt like there's bigger things to handle than playing basketball at the time, and I can't blame him for that. Now 2020, what was that? 2020, that was with James, right?
2021, 20.
Wait,
That was
so
the
20
hamstring
Oh yeah, they
ankle.
bet the bubble.
Yeah, you got your timeline right.
Yeah, 2021. That dump. The thing with Brooklyn that year is that you had such a great team put together with Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. You had all the pieces. You literally had every single piece fit. You had the wing defender. You had the big in the middle. You had a perfect team, but you wanted to go superstar hunt. So you get him, and it almost worked. But the way I saw it, the moment they got James, I'm like, look, James is out of shape. And he's been injury prone for the past 2 years. Kyrie's consistently been injury prone. KD's coming off an Achilles injury, and hasn't even played a full. He's been missing 20 games per season, since he coming back. It's not an if they're gonna get injured or they're gonna miss some games. It's the when it's gonna happen. Unfortunately, it happened in the worst time possible in the middle of a series that they should have been. They should have been up 3-0 because I remember that game 3 where they kind of had a quick meltdown in the fourth quarter because I think that was a low scoring game. I think that was only in the 80s.
It was really low scoring.
That game 3. Yeah. And they were up 3 with like a minute with like a minute and a half left. So they should have so a series that was completely winnable if they stayed healthy, cool. But guess what? The way that team was handling, the way that front office was, James didn't like it. He was out. You have Kyrie and KD. You realize that's not enough. You finally have a good team this year, but I feel like the moment they tried to add stipulations to his contract and told him, hey, yo, you're going to need to play 60 games or you need to do this or that to get your money, that was a big problem because not a lot of other players in the league have those type of things in their contract. And for somebody of Kyrie's caliber, even though he's living off 2016, it's still, I can understand why he didn't want to sign that. He's all about securing his money, and I understand why he didn't want to sign that contract.
Well,
so you're like, okay, let me play.
I'll give you that point, but what I will say, because I think you answered your own question, to be honest with you. You said not other players really have to deal with those type of stipulations, and it's because not everybody's Kyrie Irving, and not everybody has the baggage Kyrie Irving brings to the table. Again,
But the only baggage in Brooklyn at
well,
the
we're
time is
talking
that time he
everything.
missed a
When
couple
when
of
you're when you're sitting at that business table, you're bringing everything to account. You're not just looking at Brooklyn. You're looking at how it
but that
happened,
was
what happened in Boston, what
that was
happened
before
in
the
Cleveland. You're looking at everything, man.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You look at Boston and you say, okay, he dealt with some things, but again, he decided to go. He wanted Boston. He told what's his name, Gilbert, send me to Boston. I want to go to Boston. Okay, we'll go. You go to Boston. They got a terrible deal. Cleveland did, and he got to Boston. Loaded team. For full disclosure, I was a huge Kyrie Irving fan after when they won the finals. I was like, yo, I truly believe this guy can be a number one on a championship team, averaging 30 points and making that team better. And when he went to Boston, I was fully on. I was like, yo, if they match up with the Warriors in the finals, I believe they can go toe to toe, and I think they can beat them because they got a stacked team. They go 11 deep. He got injured midway through the season. They made it to the conference finals without him. Then John, we already highlighted all this, but it's just everything you handle. It's the way he's handled situations. It's all the stuff that's come out. It's all the controversies and whatnot that we don't have to really get into the nitty gritty. It's the reason why that the Brooklyn Nets. I think if you're looking at it, you can't say if you're the Brooklyn Nets or if you're the Dallas Mavericks that you don't have a little caution, a cause for pause to sign Kyrie to a full long-term extension because of everything that you've seen in the past. That's what I think that they're coming from is the only reason. So, I mean, listen, he can demand his money. If we're talking strictly on the court, Kyrie Irving deserves $200+ million. There's no question about it. He is a superstar talent. He's box office. Like I say, and like Stephen A likes to say, you go through the turnstiles to go see Kyrie Irving play basketball. That's how freaking special he is.
Yeah.
But we're not just talking on the court. You have to also take it off the court when you're signing fully guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't have a problem with Brooklyn. Like, no, we're not going to give that extension now. And he's like, okay, cool. Let me get through this season. Have midway point before so I can get my extension. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna play majority of these games this season. I'm gonna be cooking people on the court. Brooklyn was the 3rd seed at the time, and then, but before any of this happened, I think the moment the bridge between him and Brooklyn was burned to the point where he wasn't even coming back with the offensive character was the moment that the whole movie thing happened. The moment that happened is the moment I knew that bridge was burned, because at the time, I think it was a situation where Kyrie didn't watch that movie fully, so he promoted something that he didn't watch completely, and then he should have apologized immediately. But it's the point where the media was trying to like little boy him a little bit, so he got stubborn. Sure. I feel like he knew he wasn't going to get that extension. He just wanted to try and see if he can get it. And then since they said no, he's like, all right, let me get out of here now.
He touched the stove, and after the burn, he let it heal a little bit. There's still the scar, but he's like, let me just give it a shot. And I think we all knew last offseason, Brooklyn allowed him to test the waters of free agency, and nobody wanted him, including the Lakers, because they couldn't pay him with Russell Westbrook's contract. So there's a couple of things I want to hit on. We can talk about the Lakers. The Brooklyn Nets are still contenders, and truth be told, they may have gotten better after trading Kyrie Irving. I'm watching Cam Thomas right now. The kid has 45 points against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Come on.
Contenders for what, John?
They're contenders because they raised their floor massively with this trade. You get Dorian Finney-Smith, one of the best 3-and-D wins in the game, and now you get rid of the distraction that really was trying to divide the locker room. You know, Kyrie in some ways was almost sabotaging the culture that Jacques Vaughn's done such a nice job this year rebuilding. You know, it's a team with a elite defense. He's been
great since Jacques Vaughn became the head coach, though. He's been great since he became the head coach.
Well, exactly. Jacques Vaughn's been doing this in spite of Kyrie being out of the lineup at first, and then the last couple of weeks, this would have sent the Nets season into a absolute tailspin. So now you get rid of Kyrie, and you replace him. You replace him with a bigger guard that's not as much of a ball stopper, is better defensively, can switch some, and then you add in Dorian Finney-Smith into their switching style scheme. DFS is a perfect fit here. Now he's regressed a little bit, and you don't know if these wins when the athleticism starts to wane and the shots start to fall less and less when they just become a bench player. But for now, DFS is a good starting player. Nick Claxton is a really good center. And now off the bench, you have all of the shooting. I think there's a real case that they go out and make a move like Fred VanVleet, they give up 2 first-round picks, whether it's Philadelphia's they got in the Ben Simmons trade in 2027 or that Dallas Mavericks 2029 pick. Fred VanVleet would be perfect for this team. Shooting, versatile defense at the point guard spot, and he moves the ball well. He can play within the flow, and we've seen him in the postseason. So the net ceiling definitely did drop with moving Kyrie, but the floor raised, no doubt about it. And now you have Cam Thomas, a second-year guard who, quite frankly, we've known for a while this kid's a bucket getter, getting his opportunity, and he's about to have 50 points at home.
What?
Yeah. Are you watching this game, my friend? He's got 47,
last time
5,
I
and
checked
3.
it.
And you guys are sitting up, you're like, nah, he's not Kyrie Irving. Cam Thomas is Kyrie without all of the other nonsense.
John
Cam
tweeted.
Thomas.
Stand by your tweet, by the way, John. Because
Which tweet I had?
This one popped up on my notifications while we were recording, and I was gonna comment on it just to make you laugh. But John really said, okay, Cam Thomas is better than Kyrie.
Cam Thomas is available.
Okay. What?
Yeah. I just wanted to put
2 games, bro?
I just wanted to put that
So
out.
he did this in the football. He
games.
did this in the football season. Freaking
Didn't Kyrie have 2?
personally.
Didn't Kyrie have 44, 36, 40, and 44 just this past week?
So I said that partially in jest, Justin, but how often do we see a guard get an opportunity
Backtrack.
like this and capitalize so much on opportunity? Cam Thomas, I've compared him to a more thick Jordan Clarkson, but at this point, dude, he may be more thick Michael Jordan. The kid is so confident, and the jump shot, it looks a little bit weird in some ways, but he can score from all 3 levels. He's got a good enough handle getting to the rim, and the mid-range area, he has a really strong in-between game. Now, his playmaking is something that, it needs to be refined, and he can't make advanced level reads. Defensively, he's undersized, but what the Nets needed, Justin, was this reliable secondary scorer. Cam Thomas was on the pine all season long, mugging people like this, and now the kid who was already a league-leading scorer in the SEC, conference-leading scorer, showing in the second season, hey, look, I'm one of the best scorers in my draft class, and keep this in mind, too. He's going to be available in the postseason. He's got these fresh legs. He's been hungry for this his entire life. And now in Brooklyn, what they need is exactly what Cam Thomas does so well, which is scoring the rock from all 3 levels.
John, I think you're missing the point on the fact that Brooklyn, you can get out the first round. The second round, you're playing either Dallas, Philly, or Boston.
Okay, well, you know what Cam Thomas is doing right now against the theoretical Celtics. Everybody talks about the Clippers, and he's got 50 points almost on them.
It's in the
All right,
regular
can I just
season.
let me just say,
You hear what I feel about the Clippers? The Clippers suck to me.
Well, according to
The
you
Clippers suck.
guys, they're a legitimate team with a top
Me,
6
they're a
seed.
legitimate team, and it's a regular season game, man. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, Kawhi
John,
on the floor,
listen,
PG's on the
as-
floor, Zubac's
listen.
on the floor, Terrence Mann
they're
is.
not playing the
Cam
same way
Thomas
they'd be
is
playing
nice.
in the playoffs, man. That's a
But I
fact.
think
If you go
we
into-
haven't even addressed the elephant in the room, and that's that there's still rumors about Kevin Durant potentially being on the move too.
Not this season.
There's
my
rumors,
friends.
but there's also rumors that.
So
Ben
what
Simmons is-
contender are you talking about? At this point, I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets are no longer contenders.
You are
with Kyrie not on the
reactionary.
floor. No, it's
You're
not.
being
This is
reactionary
not
as well.
reactionary. This is
Yeah.
This is
You
fact.
might be the one making
Wait,
the
wait,
headlines in the
wait,
newspaper.
You're
wait,
telling me Kevin Durant is looking forward to strapping up his sneakers and going on the court? You think
Nets
he's
do a
Alright,
great
John,
job with
John,
this
super
trade.
pumped to lace
John.
him up after that?
He's going to
Hell
give them a
no.
chance this
Because
season.
you know what? Because going into this year, it was either let go of the GM or let go of the head coach. And now guess what?
Or let
They
KD
got rid
or
of the
let
head
KD
coach,
go.
and now his best buddy's gone too.
Okay, well,
think
Kyrie
he's
is not his
happy?
best buddy at that point.
Yo, Kevin Durant
Okay,
probably
no.
wants out
See,
just
that's what I
as
hate. 'cause
much
When
as Kyrie does.
KD put in his
I'm,
trade
I'm,
request,
I'm sick and tired
he
of
didn't
it.
tell Kyrie. So Kyrie not telling him about his that doesn't really mean anything to me because they both didn't tell each other when they're about to.
They
do it.
clearly were
Neither
not
of them-
that close at the end of it.
No, they're
I-
close, but they understand it's a business. They just
Yeah,
do what makes them
but
happy, and they understand that.
Here's the thing. I think we're all forgetting. Kevin Durant requested a trade last year because without him, the Nets could not win games. They are a near 500 team without him this season, with a way better head coach, a way better defensive supporting cast, and offensively a rising star in the second season that has, for back-to-back games, dropped 40-plus points. Do you realize how special that is? This is what Cam Thomas was drafted to be. It's exactly what he did at LSU, and it's exactly what he's doing now in the NBA. He came back from 23 points. You saw Emin Summer and Cam Thomas combined for over 70 points. They clearly have something here in the supporting cast, Justin. I think what you're missing is, while they got rid of Kyrie, The Nets are a better team this year than where they're at last year because all of those things I talked about coming into the season, all the things that people doubted, culture, coaching, defense, front courts, and then wing depth, they have all of it. They've made really good moves. Sean Marks has done a really masterful job outside of some of the big time misses, trading for Harden, turning him into Ben Simmons. But given all that came with Kyrie, all the baggage, I think the Nets have maneuvered into a better position than where they're at. This Nets team, with Kevin Durant playing as well as he was before the MCL injury, this may be a better roster than what they had in 2021 when Kyrie and James Harden were in and out of lineup.
You're putting a lot of pressure on the shoulders of a second-year player in Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of pressure on him.
Right now, he's got a lot of pressure on him, and he's pressure makes diamonds. It looks like an absolute gem. That's what he looks like.
One game.
2 games.
If you go into a series,
and actually, it's not 2 games because before these 2 games, he was playing very well. He's an efficient bucket getter. I don't want to use this to knock Cam Thomas because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm saying straight up, you're putting a lot of pressure on a guy that is averaging 8 points a game Michael Jordan. Oh, don't the point per game averages. He barely plays.
I'm just saying. Yes, he's lighting up the scoreboard now.
Okay, look.
Butler averaged 8 points in the last starting spot. What are we doing?
This is a guy that's not averaging 30 minutes a game. He's not even averaging 28 minutes a game. So now that he's finally going to get these minutes, now we'll see what he's really up to on a consistent basis. So seeing him play 14 minutes a game doesn't mean much to me. You're putting too much pressure on the guy.
He just missed.
You really think that he's going to go out there and be the second coming of Kyrie? It doesn't work that way.
Bro, he called him Michael Jordan.
And then he missed 2 shots back to back, which would have been
look.
I love you, John,
right now,
but
Cam on average,
as Brandon would say,
I can see him put up. Yeah, I'm seeing Cam put up 15 to 18 consistently. That's cool. But if you're going to any playoff series against any of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference with Cam Thomas as your second best scorer, you are getting a run out of that.
But he may not be. They have Spencer Dinwiddie coming in.
And guess what?
Spencer Dinwiddie is a great fit for this team.
John, I just want to let you know, first off, they better be better than what they were last year because like Romaine said, they got swept in the first round. So actually, it's not asking a lot to be better than what they were last year. All they got to do is win 1 game in the freaking playoffs, and they did better than what they did last year.
They almost took a team that went to the finals to 6-7 games.
How many years ago was that?
It was 10 months ago.
You said 6 or 7 games. They got swept in 4. Are you talking Boston?
Yeah, that was a close series.
Swept.
I think if Jason Tatum doesn't make that game winner in game 1, that could have been a 7.
Yeah, and if my sister had a twig and 2 berries, she'd be my brother, but she's not.
Boston?
But
okay. So, I mean, what are we talking here?
I know those games are close. They got decided by 2-3. They got decided by 2-3 a lot. No, they still got. Doesn't matter. It could be. You can lose a series by 1 point in total. I don't care. You still got.
Also,
they lost those games because they didn't have the defensive versatility.
Also,
and now they have that to
win. Guess what?
Oh, so now Cam Thomas is your defensive versatility?
Excuse me. Nicholas Claxton is an all-league defender.
John,
he's been one of the best switch defenders in the league. He's been a better switch defender than Bam Adebayo. And guess what? He's averaging 3 blocks a game.
Okay. We're not doing
Dorian Smith, Chris O'Neal, Utah Watanabe making 50% of his threes and playing good team defense. And along with all of that, you have Spencer Dinwiddie, who this year has averaged 18 points per game, showing he can play off of a star at a high level. And I haven't even mentioned Ben Simmons, the wild card that all of you talked about.
The guy that you were trashing and said forgot how to play basketball.
He's literally forgotten how to play basketball. But now that you have Cam Thomas breaking out, you don't need, clearly, Ben Simmons. You have Edmund Sumner, who for back-to-back games has had 20-plus points. And I haven't even mentioned Joe Harris. That's another good player coming off of a fully reconstructed knee.
Quick question. This game you were just hyping them up about, what was the outcome?
They lost.
No, they lost
3 starters, and they're missing 3 starters, over 60% of their team, and you're coming with take. Oh, they almost beat the Clippers.
Or is it this one? Which one is it? Is it the right or left? They took it out.
We're overlooking the process. That was a great game.
I'm not saying I'm not here, and like Justin, I'm not here to crap on Cam Thomas. Like I've said in our previous talks, John, I've heard a lot about Cam Thomas from people's opinions I respect in the basketball space. Okay, I'm rooting for Cam Thomas. I think he can be a very good player. Putting him up in that category of Kyrie and MJ, you're losing your goddamn mind.
Well, clearly you can't
unnecessary. It's wrong and unnecessary. It's wrong and unnecessary, and you don't put that type of pressure on a young kid like that. All right, but you gotta look at all the facts here, man. Gotta look at all the facts. KD's coming off injury. What if he gets injured again?
What if he stays healthy? It's the top 3 player.
Can go. What if he stays healthy? And I'd probably say they're going to
One
get
of them is
bounced
a
in the
lot more
first
likely
round.
than
I
the
think
other,
they're getting
though.
bounced in the first round.
No, this Brooklyn Nets team, they have a chance to they're taking any team that if they have a chance in the first, they can definitely win a first round series. But I'm definitely saying
You're acting like you're doing the second best player in the East.
Wait, huh? Who's the second best player? Where?
Kevin Durant in Brooklyn.
Okay, yeah.
All league defender, 30-point per game score.
League
Nobody is more efficient.
I want what you're
Why are
smoking.
you overreacting here? Nobody can match
those goals. Okay, listen, those block numbers are cool.
It's not about block numbers. It's about the impact he plays.
I know, but it's the same problem. It's the same problem I had when people said that about him in Golden State. When he's next to a great defensive big like an Claxton or Draymond Green, he looks a lot better than he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
KD is not an all-world defender. He's above average at best.
Yeah, which is pretty damn good for his height and the position. That's pretty good.
But I'm just saying, like, he's not this all-league defender that people want to make him out to be.
Can he block a shot here and there when he really wants to? 100%. He's 7 feet freaking tall. Got a 7 foot.
Well, there's a great reason why Brooklyn's that can switch 1 through 4. And you guys, like, what's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to your opinion when the Nets trade for Fred VanVleet? And now all of a sudden you got
They're actually trying to trade for Siakam. Actually, they're trying to trade for Siakam right now, not Fred VanVleet.
They're trying to trade Nicky. But John, guess what? If any other move happens, my opinion will stay the same. Since the first day Kyrie and KD stayed on, my opinion was right. Again, the Nets are not winning a championship. Sorry, burst your bubble.
I think this might be the last year of Kevin Durant in a Nets uniform.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm not saying that. Unless he sits out next year, it's not his last year. Brooklyn has way too much leverage.
Also, what a failure Brooklyn has been.
But you know what? I'm happy you said that, Brandon. When you mentioned failures, because when we talk about, super teams that come together, this is probably the biggest failure in history.
It makes me feel so much better every single time.
And like you could go, and I'm saying, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, coming to the Nets, fail.
Kobe,
D12,
Nash,
D12, Nash. And Kobe,
this is worse,
Pau Gasol, Ron Artest. This
worse.
is so much worse because you're getting all these players in,
relatively in their prime.
Relatively in their prime where they could still put up MVP caliber numbers. This is a massive failure. But it's one thing I'll say. As much as I clown the Nets and I rooted for their failure time and time again, I would do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
you put your team and you put your franchise.
I wouldn't do the James Harden.
I would honestly, I would do it all for the simple fact that you're reassuring your fan base that you're all about it and you're willing to go all in, which is why I kind of love this move by Dallas too, because you're showing them, I'm gonna do anything in my power to support Luka, and I think the Nets would do this trade over and over and over again for the simple fact that it put them in contention, and people are talking about them. They were contending for for an NBA Finals trophy, and while they didn't get there, like I said, utter failure. I don't think any of us would disagree. Miami, as a Miami fan for Brandon and Romaine, I'm sure you guys would love if your team put all chips on the table to go out there and win a Finals, and myself included when it comes to the Knicks.
You mean like going to get Donovan Mitchell?
And you made a great point, Justin. I mean, they didn't even trade for Kevin Durant. They got the sound top 15, top 20 player of all time with cap space. And the big deterrent was that you got to take on his crazy friend, who's also
Brooklyn.
You're breaking up, Romaine.
No, you signed KD, and then you got to extend him 4 years. That's crazy. The Nets front office has just been this incompetent for like a good 12 years so far. Since trading for Darren Williams, you traded like 16 years worth of draft capital. All you've had on the team is like a Brook Lopez, Jared Wallace, and Darren Williams. Then you made a horrible trade for KG and Paul Pierce. You scrapped all of that. You somehow were able to get a team that had D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. Wasn't Bogdanovich on that team?
He was. Boy, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you were able to actually build a pretty competent, fun-looking roster that could go into the future. You probably wasn't going to win anything crazy, but you could move those players for something, and you could actually get a little bit better. You had the money in free agency to sign better players too, and then you just scrap all of that luck to put that together, to put this shit show together.
I think Sean Marks done a really good job. Like Justin said, teaming up KD and Kyrie was an amazing opportunity. And when we look back at the 2019 offseason, it's kind of funny to say this. The Lakers were the only team that actually won. The Rockets went all in, trading 2 picks and 2 swaps for Russell Westbrook, and after 1 year, they're blowing it up. Since then, the Rockets have had the worst record in basketball every single season. They're maybe the most dysfunctional team in all of basketball, if you're really going to be honest. The Clippers went all in on Kyrie and Paul George, and what's happened since then? They've made it to the conference finals, been knocked down they knocked down in the second round, following one of the biggest meltdowns we've seen, and last year they missed the playoffs. We then shift gears to the Nets, and they did make it to the second round. They won 1 playoff series in 3 years. Now, they can still, this season, come back and go back to the conference finals for the first time in a long time. It's also going to take a couple of things going their way. And I feel like the Lakers were the only team that really bought in that offseason that came out winners. The other team was Utah, but I mean, they disappointed for all that they invested into Conley, Gobert, and Mitchell.
Because the Lakers are the only one that got a superstar that's actually consistent. KD's consistent in the regular season. You get into playoff time, it's an up and down roller coaster with him sometimes, depending on the pressure that's on his head. And I'll continue to say that. The Houston situation, James has shown. There's a lot of problems with that Houston Rockets team. Some of it's not on James, but he's consistently underperformed. Whether it's him being tired or the team just being bad, it's just always going to be that. It's just, I feel like when it comes to super teams and when it comes to like free agents and stuff, like I think people look at what LeBron has done with rose-colored and not realize like the level that he was at to do that is a level that I don't think there's 2013. I don't think there's anybody else in the league that can do that at the time. You can't tell me there's a player in the league right now that can take a team like that Cleveland team and then win 60 games and make it the NBA Finals. You can't tell me there's a player right now that can mesh that well with to be honest, D-Wade and LeBron as skill set wise, not a good fit together. Yet you still won 2 out of 4 years, and no other super team can even sniff one outside of like Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Like at some point, people have to stop trying to like recreate certain things that you see maybe LeBron has done to be successful. You can't super teams, too many egos. There's only one ball, and you need an all-time coach to be able to handle all of that at the same time. Yeah. It's just stop trying to recreate the wheel that took a top 2 player of all time to create.
Mm-hmm. Mm. No, I agree.
Look at what the Lakers did when they paired Kobe and you got Andrew Bynum, you got Paul Gasol, you got shooters around them, a good competent team. Look at Golden State before 2017. Try to do something like that.
It's always
actually not even Golden State, because please, for the love of God, stop trying to build your team around small point guards. It takes a top 2 player at that position for that to work anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's either Steph or Magic. No other point guard's been able to get you to that point. Like it's gonna have to be a consistent wing or a big man.
Mm-hmm.
But just make a competent team. Stop trying to star hunt, because the league is way too talented for that shit to work anymore. And Brooklyn was the perfect example of why you should stop trying to do that right now, because look how that blew up.
Yeah, I much prefer the dynamic duo, I guess if you want to call it, era of basketball where it's 2 superstars or a superstar and a star on the same team. I much prefer that. But recreating
Giannis, Chris Middleton.
Yep, recreating stuff is it doesn't work, and I think it's so much more fun for the league when it's just a dynamic duo. I think there's much more teams in playoff hunt, in championship contention. And it just makes much more of a fun a league. Like when the Warriors were at their height of their powers, it really wasn't much fun.
Because we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's why I think super teams have been so overrated. Most of them are in theory, but that one Golden State team was the exception where it was homemade. Now, real quick, we only got a couple of minutes before we shift gears momentarily to the
homemade
Lakers.
Where?
What?
Homemade where?
Golden State was homemade.
2015. Okay, look.
2015, they were homemade.
What do you mean they're not homemade?
They drafted Draymond, Clay, and Steph.
Yeah, I'm saying that's not a super team. That's not
super team. They became a quote unquote super team.
They won 73 games.
What they became. Yeah.
That's not a super team though. That's just a team that super team.
So then
and
the definition of super team is just theoretical teams that don't do anything like the Clippers. If that's what we're gonna chalk up a super team to.
Not even that. It's just it's 2 superstars or 2 all NBA players that can be an all NBA team and another all-star. But
wasn't that what Draymond was? An all NBA talent. He was pretty close to that, right outside.
Draymond's on the all defense. Draymond's an all. But I think we all have an understanding that Draymond, 1, is a system player, and 2, he's an all defensive player. But like talent wise, I'm not comparing him to like who are the guys competing with him for those all
He did make
NBA spots.
two all NBA teams.
Well, yeah. I mean, he had his role, and I think he did his role to the best
Yeah,
of his
he's
ability.
probably he's top, not even top. I'm gonna say top 3 role player of all time. Like
Sure.
role player, yes. But I'm not considering that team a super KD. Yes, that's a super team, and that's not homemade because you literally throw away all your depth to get. But that's still a mega team, and that was the reason they got it done because they were just that much better than everybody else. But when you make a super team like the Nets, who else has tried to do it so far? Like the Clippers,
Celtics?
not even the Clippers. The Clippers didn't have a
The
super.
Lakers, when they
The
added
Lakers.
old Karl Malone and Gary Payton
Yeah.
tried to do it.
Yeah, when you try to make those super teams, unless you're making a team that's so overwhelmingly better
Oh,
than everybody else,
Didn't
it's not gonna work.
Houston do it with Charles Barkley and or was that?
Scottie Pippen.
Yep.
the
Yeah,
last
they
legs.
tried to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there's been
That's
some
why we don't
good-
remember those teams for anything
Yeah.
else. Now,
Yeah.
real quick, we have a couple of minutes where we shift gears to the Warriors. Romaine, you saw a tweet by BC. Well, you got like 5 minutes here, but what was this tweet that I'm apparently missing out on? What's going on here between Kyrie Irving? Is it a little bit of drama?
Kyrie and Jay Will and Stephen A. Smith talking about Kyrie. I think Jay Will is completely right in saying that Stephen A. Smith gives a lot of gives breaks to people like what's the Dallas owner's name for
Mark Cuban.
Jerry
no
Jones,
yeah, Jerry Jones
Dana
and
White.
Dana White passes for some of the horrible things they did, but when it comes to Kyrie, he seems to have a lot more vitriol for him for for smaller infractions. Like I understand being mad at Kyrie for him not wanting to show up to work, him being out for like personal reasons for so long. That year's okay. You can have problems with him. You can have problems with the way he handled the contract situation, with the off court issues, but the level that he is pissed off at Kyrie, it just seems a little vindictive. Is way more vindictive than anybody else because you give way too many other people passes for way more. And I think Jay Williams is just saying like you have a little bit too much of a problem with Kyrie when this situation specifically, him leaving Brooklyn, I can't even blame him too much for that because the writing was on the wall the moment like Josiah tried to do that. So it's like even he said on me like Kyrie should be playing. He doesn't know what the Brooklyn Nets are doing at some point. Yes, he should apologize, but he should be on the court. Like. So him leaving, I don't think there's a point where you need to go all in on Kyrie's this, Kyrie's that. If Dallas like flames out and Kyrie's the problem, immediately, yeah, Kyrie's definitely the problem. Cool, but right now this isn't a situation where I'm just gonna be that crazy hard on him, and he's still on this whole tirade of like just on his head for no absolute reason.
No, yeah, I hear your point. I see your point. I agree with that. So you're talking in terms of you have a problem with Stephen A not matching energies with Jerry Jones or Dana White and them. And I agree with you 100%. I have no argument there. Where I was coming from simply was I've been following this Jay Will, Stephen A. I watch First Take almost on a daily basis for the past how long Kyrie past 2.5 years with this Kyrie situation. I've seen them go back and forth. And personally, from my experience watching and really observing them, I feel Jay Will has really tried to absolve Kyrie of a lot of accountability and culpability. And I think Stephen A is being hard on him. And again, I agree with you, matching energies. 100% Stephen A should match those energies. But yeah, I was specifically just talking about I'm on Stephen A's side when it comes to those two going at it because I just think Jay Will is. I don't know if I think he might know Kyrie personally and speak.
I think he's coming from the player he's coming from the player's perspective.
He's also doing that. But it's just
brother.
Yeah, so that's all I was saying is that I've seen their perspectives and I just feel like Jay Will should be a lot more have a lot more culpability onto Kyrie. But I agree with you, Stephen. It should 100% be matching energies. If you're going to talk, Jay Will got on him with the Aaron Rodgers vaccination when the Kyrie thing was going on too. And he said, you're not matching the same energy. And they had a very heated debate about that too. So agree. He's got to match those energies. If you're going to call Kyrie out and go that hard in the paint, you've got to go hard in the paint on Dana White. You've got to go hard in the paint on Jerry Jones, hard in the paint on Aaron Rodgers, all these guys. There's no, fair is fair, and you gotta be fair there. And Stephen A is all about fair. So maybe he'll sit down, he'll think about it, and he'll be
that's one thing.
Jay Will is, you were right. I'm going to be more fair-minded. I'm going to, hit these guys a little harder.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Jay Will. I definitely think he's coming from the player's perspective in a sense that, he's giving them a little bit more of, a longer leash than you give other people. He wants to give Kyrie more of a leash as a player than he is like a Dana White or Jerry Jones as owners, because you have a little bit more responsibility and they made bigger infractions. But I understand the sense of J. Will. Like sometimes you just gotta like just cut ties and just say, yeah, Kyrie, you're still scoring up. Like you're becoming part of the problem. No matter, like at some point it's just too much to excuse. And at the end of it, this situation between him and Brooklyn is definitely 60% on Kyrie, 40% on Brooklyn. In my opinion, there's more blame for Kyrie than there is for Brooklyn. But in this sense, right now with him leaving, I don't think this is the right time to be on him right now, because I don't feel like there's anybody else that didn't see this coming.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Cam Thomas, first player in Nets history back-to-back 44 or more points in games. The kid's pretty fun. And this Nets team, it's enjoyable. Now, real quickly, we want to discuss the Golden State Warriors. Man,
Mr. Fire.
I'm worried about
what's
Golden
the
State.
leg? What's the exact injury, John?
It is a mouthful, Brandon. As I'm trying to exit Streamy so I can actually. So the exact injury for Steph is partial tears to his superior tibiofibular ligaments and interostosis membrane. Interostosis, I pronounced wrong. And Steph is expected to miss at least the next 5 games after the All-Star break. So I think Steph is going to be out a month. We've already seen him miss a good amount of time this year with the shoulder injury. And the Warriors are a team that's 7-20 on the road. So it's quite clear they desperately need home court advantage, because if they don't get that, they're going to be playing a team like Denver. Maybe Sacramento would be a gift for them. Or even worse, the Clippers. A team like that in round 1. The Mavericks. And if you had to just come out of that, just to get to the second round of the playoffs, your road to the finals then becomes infinitely more difficult. And as the current number 8 seed, they're 27-26. Every team in the West is dealing with the same issues. Romaine, do you think the Warriors can really survive this Steph injury?
Oh no, not at all. I think they're gonna have that like 2011 Lakers run where you just come up with a championship and just next year is just not the same. Like your best player could be there, but in and out of the lineup, and certain things just aren't panning out. Jordan Poole didn't take the jump you needed him to. Yeah, he's scoring more, but his efficiency is like down the tank, and he's turning the ball over more. And he has games where he's getting you 30 and 40, but then you have those games where he's getting you 8 and 7. Like he's not consistent. And right now, you're looking at that 2021 draft, and Kuminga and Moody just do not look like the right picks. You had Trey Murphy, Alperen Sengun, Trey Mann, you have, and then with Kuminga, you have Franz Wagner coming right after him. Like it looks like they had all the chips on the table where you expect the team that drafted Draymond Green and Klay Thompson to make the right decisions come in draft time, but you can't hit on everything. They made 2 wrong picks, and those guys you want to hope that right now with Klay's injury looking like it's a little bit him taking even steeper decline, Draymond not being Draymond anymore. You'd hope that those guys take a little bit more of a jump, but it looks like you made the wrong picks, and it looks like this is where you got to set. This is where you just. Oh, not to mention James Wiseman is just.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think this is just.
I wonder if they regret moving them last
year. If I'm
year.
not mistaken, back when they were drafting Steph, Klay, and Draymond, wasn't Jerry West their
he was GM? In the front office.
Yeah. So and
that's true.
Anymore, so that's really where I think that they're drafting. I mean, listen, those prospects you named, they were good. You expected a 3-and-D wing out of kind of both them, Moody and Kuminga. They haven't panned out, obviously. So yeah, it's going to be a tough ride. For me, I can never count out the Warriors, especially just their track record. So I'm not going to count them out. But it's going to be a much, much tougher ride without Steph Curry for right now.
If this is like 2 years ago when cut them out, but they just keep getting older. Clay's injuries, and the mileage on his body, he's not getting any better anymore. At this point, it's just going to be.
All things considered, he had a freaking really good January. I mean, he shot.
No,
46,
he's having a.
He shot 46% from the field, 43 from 3, 91% from the free throw line, 27 points. That's pretty good, but
yeah, no, he's having a good. I think the thing with him is not I think he's always going to be able to give you a good 15 to 20 on a consistent basis. He's, in my opinion, the second greatest shooter to ever touch a basketball. Right,
I agree with that 100%.
So right now with him is not the offense is the problem with me. Is the fact that defensively he doesn't look anywhere near the same. Like he can't stay in front of it. Like before, he wasn't the box score guy type of defense. But when you watch him, was the one guarding. He was the one guarding Westbrook. He was the one guarding James Harden. He's that guy that you put on that makes it tough on him. He has really good lateral quickness. He can move his feet. He has a pretty. I think his wingspan is okay. I don't think it's too long.
Fundamentally sound.
He has normal. Yeah, he's a fundamentally sound defender that can just make it hard on superstars, and it's just not there anymore. You can't replace that with Jordan Poole, who can't guard a cone either. And then you have Kuminga, that when he's on the there's times where he looks like a mini Draymond, and then there's other times where he looks like a mini Draymond. That's now.
I think we were alluding to. I mean, defensively,
which is like he looks like Draymond, and other times looks like Ben Simmons. He looks like Ben Simmons without the playmaking sometimes, which is crazy. So right now, and Moses Moody, the shooting hasn't been able to keep it up. Did you expect him to be a 3-and-D player when he came in the league? I think
that's what they were. I think that's what they were expecting him to be. Like if they were hoping, like
sure. They drafted Moody to be exactly that. Yeah. I wonder if the Warriors
hindsight's 2020 with James Wiseman
didn't work out.
Yeah, that's a failed experiment.
They should have.
They took a shot. I mean, they took what they needed. They needed a big man, and they took a shot, and they messed up.
Yeah.
And Wiseman has actually gotten better defensively.
This is another he's a Kwame Brown situation because he didn't play that much in college. You basically drafted a player right out of high school, and he just didn't pan out the same. He just didn't pan out.
I don't want to go.
He didn't play that much in college, did he?
Romaine. So I don't even know where to begin with the Kwame Brown and James Wiseman. Kwame Brown didn't deal with the injuries James Wiseman did early, and Wiseman has gotten better this year defensively. In this Warriors system, very few bigs can survive. And I think we overlook when a team has championship aspirations and they have the number 2 overall pick, you should be trading that 9 times out of 10, unless the prospect is so good he's too good to pass up. And with James Wiseman, he wasn't that good. But at the time, the Warriors were desperate for a center because Kevin Looney wasn't that durable. Since then, he's has not missed a single game. And unfortunately, Wiseman was so bad so early, they couldn't trade him at that point. The car was already driven off the lot. He had tanked 60% of his value. But I do wonder if the Warriors regret not moving Kuminga and Moody sooner last year because they won a championship in spite of those guys not playing. But now you look at those roster spots, and they don't have the IQ, the versatility on both sides of the ball, and quite frankly, the maturity yet to be key fixtures in a rotation where if you fit in this Warriors offense, you're going to be perfect. But if you don't, Steve Kerr's not going to play you. And then it's really hard to get those reps to develop. And the regular season, they're focused on, all right, how can we get the right lineup for the postseason? They're not prioritizing your development. And so for Wiseman to deal with all these injuries, Jonathan Kuminga to be the biggest project player I've seen in the draft at the wing position since Jaylen Brown. And then surely Moses Moody just not panning out so far. The Warriors in a rough spot right now. You won a championship last year, which is good, but you have these 2 timelines, and because you didn't pick one, you're now stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I do think they should have traded a second pick for a team that has championship aspirations, and then you're going to get back Draymond and Klay the next year. Should have traded that second pick easily. I don't know why they didn't, but the 7th...
Because there's no star available to them, I guess. That was the main reason. Who were they going to get with that? Siakam, Sabonis?
Oh, yeah, wait, what year was that? That was 2020, right? Yeah, that was right after the bubble. I don't think free agency was that crazy that year, and I don't think there's too many teams that were sellers at the time. So, yeah, that was right after the Super Game.
I'm not gonna say the jury is out on Golden State. I still believe, much like Brandon, it's kind of hard to just rule this team out. I mean, this is a dynasty. You got Steph, Klay, and you still got Dre there in the fold. And while I get it, they're aging. I could take you way back to, I believe it was 99 and 2000 where the Yankees I think it was 2000 where the Yankees kind of struggled to get into the World Series after just dominating for years before and still found a way to make things happen. And this is kind of how I'm looking at this Warriors team as well. They're 20-6 at home. That's insanely impressive. And while the road numbers are ugly, their road record is very ugly. They're not a team that's being blown out of the water either. This isn't a team being smacked by 15 every night when they are on the road. This is a team that can still play ball, and all they have to do is just weather that ship while Steph is out. And this is really putting those players that you guys are mentioning now to the test. These are players that have to step up big time now in replacement for Steph Curry. And while you don't expect them to, replicate his play, you expect them to exceed their own expectations, step up to the plate, and really just help lead this team. Because, this team invested draft capital into these young guys, and now they got to show that their investment was worth it. So I'm not going to rule out this Warriors team because, like I mentioned earlier, the race in the West right now is very tight. The difference between the 3 seed and the 10 seed is what, 3 games?
Those 4 games the Warriors blew a couple weeks ago.
So exactly. So I can't just say, yeah, this Warriors team is completely done for. If Steph comes back well and this team stayed in that, 7 to 9 range, I think they can still make some noise. I mean, worst case scenario that in the playoffs they get matched up with a Denver. You don't want to see that. If you're matched up with anybody from 2 and beyond, Warriors have a chance.
If I'm the Warriors, I'm saying
I want that Memphis.
I want Memphis. Give me Memphis. Let's go, Memphis. Let's go.
Yeah, I want Memphis. But the thing, they've been able to weather the storm without Steph this season. I think without Steph, they're close to 500 this season either way. And Jordan Poole as a starter is probably the most consistent he's been all season.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I think what Draymond said earlier in the year is exactly the problem with them too right now is the fact that when you had somebody else come off the bench, then Jordan Poole, you had to guard the Warriors. They play 2 different ways when Steph was on the court and off the court. Jordan Poole's so similar to Steph that you're playing the same way. So teams you're not throwing that many different looks at teams. So they can still match up the same way they were doing before. It's just a lot easier to guard them now. So, but I do, and I think this is going to be a test. This is going to be the true test for Steve Kerr's coaching ability. Because you don't have the deck stacked anymore. Even last year, Steph still missed a lot. If anything, this team probably would have been the 2nd seed if Steph was able to stay healthy for the full season. So either way, I think this is the first true test he's gonna have with a team that is not overwhelmingly one of the best in the Western Conference, but is still like in the pack. And if they're coached right, they should be able to give some team a run for their money.
I agree with all of it that you said. Jordan Poole this year has really struggled with turnovers when he's in the lineup, but he's averaging 28 points in the 15 games Steph missed. And the Warriors as a team, right around that 500 mark with a record of, last year, they were 8-10 without Steph. This season, come on, help me out, Steph. It's unbelievable. All right, Warriors record without Steph Curry in 2023. They're 7-8. So you said a lot of great points. They've been right above staying afloat without Curry. But it's a matter of sustaining that long term. In a Western Conference, when everybody's getting healthy, Zion should be coming back after the All-Star break. I think Karl-Anthony Towns will be coming back at the end of the month. Anthony Davis has already come back. Jamal Murray is getting the ground running. Sacramento, they may build more continuity offensively. If they continue to have this health luck, they can stay in the top 6. And now for the Warriors, you're really digging yourself in a deep hole like the Clippers last year, where you have on paper and in theory, top 5, top 3 team in the league that you can't count out. But if you're already in the play-in tournament, like those Lakers in 2021 as well, you're setting yourself so far behind the 8 ball that going that deep playoff run is just not something that's realistic.
Who was the 2nd seed in 2021 in the Western Conference?
The Suns.
No, the 2nd seed, not the
Suns
first.
Number 2. 2021, Suns, Lakers, 2-7.
Oh, right. The Lakers, they won the play-in. Yeah. What I'm saying with the Warriors is that the difference between the Warriors and the Lakers matched up well against the Suns. It's just that AD got injured. But the thing is, I think the Lakers probably would win that series if AD stayed healthy. To be honest, they would probably be able to go back to back if they both were able to stay healthy for at least the playoffs. But that just didn't happen. But the thing with the Warriors is that they're like in the sense that outside of Denver, they're a matchup problem for everybody either way. They're a matchup problem for Memphis. They're a matchup problem for Sacramento. They're a match. Who's 4th right now, even in the Western Conference?
Clippers. Suns.
Okay, that's the one team that can competently guard them. But I mean, I don't trust the Clippers with anything anyway. So
cool. Kawhi locked up Cam Thomas to end this game, so I don't even want to talk about the Clippers enough.
Oh, what?
Wow, he locked up
He was like, all right, Cam.
He locked up a second-year guy.
He locked up the second coming of Michael Jordan? What?
It's hyperbole. Give me a break.
I'm just messing.
Board man gets paid, baby.
Second coming of Kyrie Irving.
It's the second coming of Michael Jordan.
Yeah. How much time do you have? Because I don't even think the Timberwolves are in that conversation at all, even with Cat.
Whoa. No, the Timberwolves are forced
if anything right
with
now.
Anthony Edwards. Do not overlook them.
Yeah, that's disrespectful, my boy.
No. With Anthony Edwards,
Yeah,
yes.
call me when they figure out that fit.
Putting
Call me when they figure out
Cat
that
back in that
fit.
lineup is a negative more than it is a
I
positive.
agree, but D'Angelo Russell's having his best shooting season, one of his best seasons of his career. Anthony
Without
Edwards
Cat.
is an emerging All-NBA player. Without Cat,
Cat.
you're right. And at small forward, Jaden McDaniels is an all-defensive caliber player. You have the pieces, they're just losing around the margins. And if they're going to they're going to have to stagger Cat and Rudy's minutes while they continue to build more chemistry in the meantime. And I think in the postseason, they're not going to go far. But in the regular
I don't
season,
even think
they're going to win
I don't even
45
think Cat-
games. They're going to get into the
I don't think-
playoffs, and they're going to continue to build some continuity going into the next season. I think the T-Wolves are going to be just deep into
I don't
that
think
mix, man.
I don't think the Rudy Cat minutes are the problem with them though. I think Cat's time at the four just isn't gonna work. It's
Well,
just not.
That doesn't work with Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony Edwards is the guy now in Minnesota. He is your franchise player, and putting him alongside two 7-footers, one of which is not a good offensive player, the other of which is a bad defender, is not a good recipe.
That's why I'm saying with Cat is gonna be a problem. I think right now Anthony Edwards having the ball the past couple months. I think his usage rating's been in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So great. His usage and putting up as efficiently as possible. That's great. The moment Cat comes back, his usage rate's going back down, and he's one of those. Anthony Edwards is a volume scorer. The more shots he takes, the more rhythm he gets throughout the game, and it's better for him when he gets in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's gonna tank a lot of that momentum, and you add that into the fact that he's gonna have to work his way back offensively because he's not gonna come back just back to what he was before. And then you add the fact that he's also a horrible pick and roll defender. Can't really defend the rim for anything, and he's definitely a bad switch defender. It's just a problem. I think that you do need to just trade. Either you move Nas Reed up to that 4, and you trade Cat for another. I don't think you want to keep deloading and Cat. I don't think you want to keep both of them. I think you do need to get at least a point guard that's more towards playmate. A Tyrese Halliburton would work way better on this team than he would. A more reliable playmaking point guard, not even a scorer, just a more reliable playmaker with this team would be better than D'Angelo Russell. And a small forward or a power forward that's switchable and can hit threes is all they really truly need.
What if the Timberwolves what if Minnesota traded Karl Anthony Towns for Trae Young?
No, hell no. You trade a defensive liability for even worse defensive liability. What are we doing?
But then you soothe everything out. You have Trae and Rudy running pick and roll. You have Karl Anthony Towns working DeJounte Murray. And I think Zach Lowe made this like a couple months ago. I was listening to him.
I'd much rather Cat for Pascal Siakam.
I agree. And I don't think Toronto's going to do that because they don't take on bad contracts. And I think Karl Anthony Towns making, I don't know, $224 million and 62 by his age of 31 season is not a good contract. So
these contracts are getting insane.
Ridiculous.
It's going to get even crazier with this new team.
I remember back in like 2017, 30 million a year was cool. Now people getting 60, and it's just you just like, damn, that's crazy, and you move on.
Yeah, it's gonna get even crazier and crazier. With all that being said, anything else you guys like to add? FLB, yeah, shout out you. Thank you for coming on, my friend. You have to check him out. His YouTube is in the description. So is his Twitter. Pop in. Know who sent you. But unless you
I've been watching the podcast grow since the first time I've been on. It was like at 33, so now y'all are over 200. It's only been a couple months. Like this is going really good.
We brought you on episode 18, I think. Yeah, man.
Bro, it's been getting. I just checked back up. I'm like, how's the pod doing? I'm like, oh damn, they've really been growing. So I love it. And you had an episode that was like close to 10K. I'm like, okay, this.
I think we had a few videos. Like if it was an episode, I'd be ecstatic. I think it was
yeah.
No, that Steelers video we made got close to 10K.
I think you guys should try like at least maybe once monetization, probably try live streaming like an episode or so to see how that works. But I feel like after you get a more stable audience.
Absolutely. We're going to try using StreamYard a little bit and see if that could help us with the lives. I like that way better than OBS, man.
Yeah, but I love it. I'm happy for y'all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, bro. Yeah, I'll give you a follow on your socials, man.
Got you. And it's fun to be
first
on.
Knicks fans, you're going to play each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, and we win.
No.
We play the Knicks fully healthy. I'm not going to lie. When it comes to playoff time, the first round, I'm not really worried about. Unless we're playing one of the top teams, I'm not worried about the first round. The only time I'm worried is the moment we have to see Milwaukee, Boston, now the Sixers, because they're a lot better than last year.
Don't worry, Romaine. You don't got to worry, because if you run into us first round, we'll take care of you.
Worry about
You
Trae
guys
Young.
could just
You have
sleep
to play.
the rest of the
You have
offseason.
to play
Yeah,
Trae
a
Young in
little
the play-in. So worry about
5'9"
him
guy
first.
owns your freaking stadium
Yeah,
or
you
arena,
have
I
to play.
should say.
You're right now. You're stacked against him. You're playing him in the play-in if the playoffs starts today. So worry about him first.
Bring him to the Garden. I am telling you, don't even get me started. Bring Trae Young back to the Garden come playoff time.
Be careful what you wish for.
He hasn't
no,
seen a Knicks
Brandon.
point guard like Jalen Brunson taking those charges.
I wish. I am wishing. I would kill for a playoff matchup with Atlanta. Not a play-in. I just want to make.
Young is one of those.
I'd rather be a top 6 seed, so we don't got to worry about that. So you know what? We're probably not even going to run into them if we keep this up.
The Hawks may not make the playoffs. So
Trae
we'll
Young
be fine.
Trae is one of those guys that, like, when it comes to like play-in or first round, he's always going to go nuclear, and then that's going to give him a reputation as a good playoff performer, even though he's going to suck the next 2 rounds. But like, if you catch him in any one of those series at a team that's not too well put together, other than when like he met us last year and we were cohesive as shit. But when you put him against a team that's not that cohesive, he can go crazy if you let him. He can go crazy.
1 minute, real quick. Can we get a temperature check on Trae Young? Is he overrated? Is he properly rated?
He's insanely overrated. But
he's overrated. I don't think he's a top 5 point guard. I don't think he's a top. Honestly, right now, I'm taking De'Aaron Fox over Trae Young.
Oh man.
Why? No. I'm taking
Trae Young. Taking Jalen Brunson over Trae Young?
Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Jalen Brunson right now. No. John, that's for you. Right now.
I would rather Jalen Brunson as my second or third best player than Trae Young as my number 1.
No. They're both defensive liability. Number ones, Trae Young. Yes. But if we're talking about like complementary pieces, definitely Jalen.
Who's better, Trae Young or Ja Morant?
Trae.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. Ja is one of those guys. Ja is one of those guys that he's takes advantage of being in an amazingly put together team. I can't lie.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is that team is so well built for him to put up the numbers that he is as the lead guard, that if you put him anywhere else, his liabilities as a shooter is going to show a lot more. His defensive liabilities in a team that doesn't have Dillon Brooks may be annoying as shit. He's still one of the top wing defenders in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Sad, he's annoying, but he still is. Jaren Jackson Jr. is arguably the best defender in the NBA. Steven Adams is steady as hell at rim and as an offensive rebounder too, and a defensive rebounder. And Desmond Bane is an above average defender because those muscles aren't for just show. He can knock guards off their line or drive. He has pretty good lateral quickness. He's just on a team with so many great defenders that his defensive liabilities don't show as much.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's on a team with such great shooters that you can't wall up in the paint against them, because he can hit a Dillon Brooks, because Dillon Brooks can hit open shot. He can hit a Desmond Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr. can stretch the floor. It's just he's on a really good, well-built team that makes him look this good. But if you put him in a Trae Young situation, it looks far worse.
I agree. And Ja's in a way better team. And by the way, Klay Thompson, 18 points, 7 and 10 so far in the first half versus the Thunder. Now, I'm not the only one comparing Cam Thomas to Michael Jordan, by the way. I've actually seen that on Twitter a couple of times.
Those people are freaking morons.
Not like I was scrolling much. I saw them.
I'm rooting for another 40-point night tomorrow.
I really am. I like seeing fun stuff like this. I want to see him continue to go crazy, because I just know it has a limit to it. And the moment he meets an actual competent team that wants to shut him down, he's gonna go 3 for 30. It's like the Linsanity run. The moment he runs into the Heat or some team that's like, okay, tonight this shit ends, it's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
John, if he drops 40 tomorrow night while I'm in the arena, I'm going to buy you a Cam Thomas shirt. All right.
If he drops 40 tomorrow, I'm going to start an OnlyFans. If he does ever.
Let me get a piece of that.
I'm gonna lose the vibe, bro.
If he drops 40 again, then I'll say he's better than Kyrie. Because at that point,
I mean, at what point do we say this kid is the starting shooting guard in Brooklyn that's going to help them get back to the place Kyrie could never take them? We saw the Boston Celtics with Terry Rozier go way further without Kyrie, and I think we can say the same thing with Kevin Durant, Cam Thomas, and some awesome defensive personnel. And you want to know what they also have? the runner-up. I think he could be the coach of the year, and Jacques Vaughn is going toe-to-toe right now with Joe Mazzulla. I think Jacques Vaughn deserves coach of the year more than Mazzulla, because Mazzulla, while he's done a phenomenal job, he didn't have to literally completely save the season that was literally halfway sunk. I mean, Jacques Vaughn has overcome so much. He was not even the guy they're looking to go to. They want Ime Udoka. They didn't want him, and look what he's done. I mean, bravo to Jacques Vaughn. He is a special leader.
How do you?
We'll see. You don't want that Cam Thomas shirt then?
What's his name? The Thunder's head coach, Mark something. So I can never pronounce. Yeah, I can pronounce his last. But I think Coach Bud right now deserves that coach of the year a little bit more than Javon, because about Milwaukee, like they've been going through the ringer with injuries. Certain people have regressed to a certain point, and they've still consistently just been that good. Obviously, that's part of the fact that they have the best player in the league on their roster, but still, a lot of points this season, the Milwaukee Bucks should be like a 5th or 6th seed, and they're still could be number 1 at any single point. And
now it sounds like you're making the case for Doc Rivers.
And not really. Doc Rivers is the guy that. Yeah, but most of your superstars have been injured the entire season. The thing with Doc Rivers is that he's a great floor raiser. Whenever your team is underperforming or like they don't have a roster you think can go too far, he's great at rallying those guys together. The problem is when you give him a competent roster that isn't better than everybody else. Like Boston, it worked out because you had KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. But when you put him on the Clippers and that team's not better than everybody else, look what happens. When you put him on Philadelphia, you see what happens. You threw your
Los Angeles.
Yeah, like at some point, like
I've never seen a trend like Doc Rivers when his team has expectation versus when it doesn't have expectation. Because the team with that expectation is almost better than the team with expectation. It's one of the weirdest phenomenons I think in all sports, quite frankly, that the guy just can't figure it out when pressure comes.
You only think they're better because you never expect anything from them. You never expect anything from them, and then they do better than you expect. I fully believe that 76ers team last year, if Joel Embiid was healthy, probably gives us a lot more problems than they did give us if Joel Embiid with him out the first 2 games.
Just say they would have beat Miami.
We would have probably still beaten them, but it would have been a lot harder because we shouldn't have blown them out by 30 that last game. There's no reason why they should have been that bad.
I mean, they're starting DeAndre Jordan in the playoff series.
No, but they started Joel that game. I'm talking about the elimination game.
Yeah, I'm talking about the DeAndre Jordan.
Oh no, starting DeAndre Jordan over what's his name? Paul Reed.
Peeble.
Yeah. Is whatever, but him right now, I think the Thunder head coach definitely deserves some props because they're way ahead of schedule, way too ahead of schedule. It's crazy that they could actually be a playoff team this year.
Phenomenal defense that Dagnall has. I mean, they don't have Chet Holmgren. They have no rim protection virtually, and I mean, their defense has literally been so connected, and they're a bunch of 23. It's the youngest team in the league. It's unbelievable.
Shay's turned into one of the best two ways. Shay's turned into one of the thing is like they have amazing point of attack defenders. Shay's one of the best 2 ways. Josh Giddey is a little bit underrated on the defensive end because he's big enough and he's guarding guards constantly. He's not the greatest lateral quickness, but he has nice hands and he knows to put himself in positions to at least be not a negative. Then you have Lou Dort, that's a great defender. They just have really good point of attack defenders to the point that you're not making it to the rim too much. Now, if you get there, that's a problem. But you're not making it past them too much at the time. Yeah. The moment if they somehow pull it out, they don't have a chance of getting Victor anymore. If they were that bad and they got Victor and Chet at the same time, I don't know a team that's beaten that in the next past 2027. I'll see a team beating them. But right now, I think he definitely deserves. But he's probably not going to get it because they're probably still going to be under 500.
So go Jacques Vaughn, of course.
Yeah. No, it's probably I don't think it's going to be Jacques Vaughn
because I don't. Yeah.
I think right now, even though they just got back some nice pieces, I do think they're still going to slide a little bit. They're going to slide. I think they're going to be a 5th. They're probably going to be a 5th seed, but they're still going to slide a little.
And the Nets are going to go further in the playoffs without Kyrie than they did with him, just like the Celtics. But with all that being said, I'll wrap up episode number 73. Thank you again, Romaine, for coming on. It was a longer show. It wasn't supposed to be this long, but we went on to so many different sides. I mean, I enjoyed the show a lot. We could talk about the Nets and much more. Romaine's links will be in the description as always. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Stay classy.